Hi, my name is Emma Billingsley, and this is Diverseability, first episode of the season. As many of you know, this used to be called April Acceptance Brings May Integration, but that title was a bit of a mouthful. I mean, you try saying that 5 times really fast. No, I mean actually say April Acceptance Brings May Integration 5 times really fast. It's pretty hard, I can guarantee you. Anyway, back in 2020, I competed in the Miss Westchester University pageant, where my platform was autism acceptance. And I got first runner-up. It felt amazing to get that far. The person who did win was Allie Short. And I guess most people were right when they would say everyone would be short of winning. Get it? Short, because Allie's short. I'm joking, Allie, We're actually really good friends. But anyway, tonight we are talking to someone who competed in the Miss America pageant. Please welcome Miss Pennsylvania 2021, Meghan Sinisi. Okay, first question of all, I just wanted to ask, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. As Miss Pennsylvania, I've been looking forward to April, my entire year of service. So for Autism Acceptance Month, so we're hitting the ground running at the beginning of this month, and I'm excited for all the things that we'll accomplish as a community and then help propel that forward into the rest of the year. Because as we all know, autism awareness isn't just strictly limited to April. So I'd love to extend that beyond just this month, but kickstart it during April.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. That's why I'm like extending my show into May. Um,
Absolutely.
so just to kickstart, because like the conversations of acceptance and diversity, they have to go on all the time.
That's right. And it's wonderful that we have these different months that give us an opportunity to talk about things that really should be a conversation all year round. But fortunately, we have so many advocates out there that are trying to extend the conversation. So it's pretty cool that we get to be a part of that conversation and discussion. And I'm so honored to be here on the Diverseability Show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next question is, if you could solve one problem in the world, what would it be? It's a little bit of an icebreaker.
Yeah, I think I'd solve our worlds. It seems like there's an inability to compromise or to see other people's sides. So I'm a huge proponent for keeping an open mind, or at least listening to somebody else's story just to have a better outlook on what your opinion might be or how you might navigate life. So I would say a little bit of that would serve us really well in our world, especially the climate that we're currently in and all of the different challenges that we face as a nation. So I would love to see that change in the future.
Right, because these days I feel like as a whole, we are so divided on almost everything. Just
I
like
know.
every week, it seems like something's happening that we're divided on, and we don't know how to come together and just like compromise on different issues.
Right. That's right. And even just being able to have civil discourse with one another and being able to talk about things that we disagree with or agree to disagree on different things. So unfortunately, we've kind of seen a rise in our inability to see someone else's side or really consider somebody. There's a lot of hate in our world, and I think that we can accomplish a lot by at least listening to others and seeing their perspective and trying to walk a mile in another person's shoes. So I'm hopeful that that will start to change if we utilize the tools that we have in the best way that we can to make our world a better place.
Yeah, me too. Um,
Yeah.
so, how did it feel to be chosen as Miss Pennsylvania? That's pretty huge, you know.
Yeah.
How did that just in the moment? Like, how were you feeling? Were you just like shocked and surprised, and were you just like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
Yes, it was a whirlwind of emotions. I had worked a long time to accomplish Miss Pennsylvania. And that whole week, I was really nervous. I didn't know how my performances were going. You never know what the judges are looking for. So I was really at peace for what I put out on stage. And I knew that I put all the work in necessary to be a good Miss Pennsylvania. But in that moment, you just really don't know where things could go. So I was at peace with how I had prepared. And I knew that no matter what the outcome of the competition was, my heart was in it for making an impact for autism awareness and acceptance. And I was able to do that whether I won Miss Pennsylvania or I stepped into my career as a speech language pathologist. So I knew that my reason for being there was going to be elevated to new heights, no matter what the outcome was. So that really brought me a lot of peace. And then it was just kind of the icing on the cake that I fell into the top two. And I was just so grateful to be among so many incredible women that advocate for so many important causes, and to stand amongst the ranks of women that have really charted a new path for women in academics and education, but also to be a leader in their community. So it was just a mix of emotions. I was a little shocked whenever my name was called, just because when it came down to the top two, the young woman that I was holding hands with, she's so incredible herself. So I was just grateful to be standing there with her and to share that special moment, no matter who it ended up going to.
Yeah. I think I honestly love like the pageant universe just because there's so many great women who have passions just for a lot of different things, and I love to see that represented just in our community, just different passions about different platforms. It's amazing to see, like when I've been to the Miss WCU pageant, like the girls' platforms this year, they were amazing, and I loved seeing it.
Exactly. And like we said earlier about being able to see all different sides and keep an open mind, what a better way than to have, 50 women across the country advocating for all different things that they care so passionately about, and to start that conversation in all different places. So Miss America is such a special thing to be a part of, and to be a part of history, and young women that are blazing a trail and making a path forward for women in the future, and all different causes that haven't been talked enough about. I know from my experience personally, I'm not a person with autism or a disability, so I stand on this platform with a unique opportunity to speak about a cause I care about. But what I find very valuable is handing over the microphone anytime I can to an actually autistic person. And that's not something you often see with advocacy. So giving the self-advocacy role to the people that haven't had their stories shared is important to me. So that's something unique that I've gotten to be a part of. And it's really special to see all different kinds of passions come forward through organizations like ours.
Yeah, definitely. And I love what you said about just like giving the microphone off to people who actually like, have autism or have whatever disability, because I feel like so much in the disability world, I should know, like as someone with a disability myself, I feel like the microphone often is not handed to us. I feel like people are often speaking for us, and I'm just like, let us speak a little bit. So I'm glad that you did mention that.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, as an advocate, there's only so much that I can advocate for. It really depends on what the autism community needs. And the only way that we know that is if they have a voice. And that's what I really love about being a speech therapist, is because I can help those on the autism spectrum and that have other different communication disorders find and strengthen their voice, whatever that looks like for them. That way, the advocacy I do, I'm very proud of. And I'm glad that I can make any difference that I can. But what's really important is to hear from the people that things actually affect. So there's only so much that I can share without having an autism experience myself. So I love having that opportunity, and having seeing different podcasts or shows and things like what you have here at Diverseability. I have my own Spectrum Sundays. So giving that microphone over and that opportunity for people to share their stories is so important.
Yeah, it's extremely important. And I love that you're doing the Spectrum Sundays. How's that going?
Good, very good. So, scheduling is kind of crazy with my Miss Pennsylvania schedule, but I'm very blessed to have a co-host that we've been able to kind of divvy up the work, and be able to work together as a team so that we can keep on top of it, and get as many self-advocates on our show as possible. But we also talk with different professionals. Sometimes we talk to parents, and we try to give very diverse perspectives on autism. So everybody's experience is very different. And we think it's really valuable to share all those different sides of the story. There's some controversy within the autism community, different language that's preferred, or different organizations that might be supported. So it's nice to have that open dialogue with advocates and parents, so that people have an understanding of what benefits they have or what their preferences are, and where all of those opinions and preferences come from. So it's a lot of fun, and I've gotten to meet some really incredible people, and hopefully helped open up a door for them to either feel more passionate about advocating for themselves, more confident about advocating for themselves, so that they feel that they can do that for themselves in the future as well.
Right, right, definitely. Um, you know, so yeah, I'm really glad that you're doing Spectrum Sundays and really just like, you know, giving the microphone off to those people, just because I feel like it just doesn't happen that much
Mhm.
as often as it should, and I'm just really glad you're doing it. So thank you for doing
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. It's truly my passion, and that's why I was so at peace with whether or not I won Miss Pennsylvania or Miss America, because these are the kinds of service aspects that would continue beyond just a title, and I think that that's really special. So Spectrum Sundays will be continuing past my year of service as Miss Pennsylvania, and my co-host and I are hopeful to do some really creative things with that. So stay tuned.
Definitely. So speaking of Miss America, like competing in Miss Pennsylvania is one thing, but competing in Miss America, that's like the whole shebang right there. How was just like all that, and just being like on live television?
Mhm.
That must
Yeah,
have been crazy.
it was incredible. And you dream about it for so long. You kind of picture your moment on that stage, but it's never what you expect. So it was really interesting to live it out in real time. And I have been going 1,000 miles a minute this entire year. I'm so grateful to have such a busy schedule. So I didn't really process the fact that I was at Miss America until it was like final night and I was introducing myself to the entire audience and the entire nation. So it's kind of cool how everything unfolded, but the experience was just so amazing to, see all your hard work over time be able to be recognized. And I was awarded the Women in Business Scholarship, a $10,000 scholarship. So that was like my Miss America moment. At that point, I was like, whatever happens from this point forward, I know I've accomplished something that I've set out to do. So that was incredible. And I think, coming home from it and finally having a chance to reflect, it's like, wow, I actually achieved one of my lifelong dreams to compete on the Miss America stage. And that's something that so few women have the privilege to say. So I'm just so honored and grateful for that type of experience. And I've made some really incredible friends out of the whole thing as well. And that's really special.
And making those connections, like definitely like in the pageant world, is definitely important. You need those other women to like build you up and empower you. And I see that the current Miss America 2021 right now, who has the same name as myself, which is very, very funny. She has a kind of similar platform as you, right?
Yes, and I was so excited for Emma because she was also a guest on Spectrum Sundays before Miss America, and of course, her and I advocate for such a similar cause. So, and she was the first Korean American to ever win the title of Miss America, the first Miss Alaska to ever win. So many firsts in that moment, and she was so open and honest and vulnerable and raw about her own experience with being neurodiverse herself. So that moment, seeing the crown being placed on her head, was just such a fulfilling moment as an advocate myself, because I knew, whether or not I won, this mission was going to be pushed forward. And I knew that Emma would do a really incredible job. So she has been amazing this year. It's been already 3 months since Miss America. She's an advocate for Special Olympics, which I'm really passionate about. So it's amazing to see all of that conversation being had by none other than our Miss America.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's extremely like, fulfilling to know that there are definitely people out there like just like uplifting the disability community and really bringing their voices forward and advocating for us.
Right.
And I'm really glad that there was definitely similar platforms like that on the Miss America stage. You know, I didn't know that like there would be so many voices for the disability community, until now. And then it's just amazing seeing everything that's been being done so far. And there's so many great things have been happening for the disability community lately, like how, you know, Coda won the Oscar for Best Picture. That was a really uplifting moment for the disability community and the deaf community, and
Right.
it's just amazing to see
Right.
progress
It's
made.
exactly. It's no joke that representation is so important. I know that Emma has shared screenshots, or Miss America, the Miss America organization has shared screenshots of women that have said, you know, if Miss America can have ADHD, then maybe I can be Miss America too, because I also have ADHD. So it opens up that piece of representation to know, number one, you're not alone in whatever it is that you experience, and there's people that support you through whatever challenges and whatever differences that make you beautiful as a human, and those are things that we can celebrate together. So it just takes that one person to step forward and have the courage to be that representation in a space that's not always, you know, welcoming to those with disabilities or those that are neurodiverse. So it's amazing to see that we're finally making some progress there. And like you said, with Coda, to have a deaf member being recognized at the Oscars, that's just incredible. So it's only up from here, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. We hope it's only up from here at least.
Yes.
Um, my last question to you is, what does acceptance mean to you, and how can people promote acceptance in your opinion?
Yes. I love to say that acceptance is more than just tolerating differences. It's fully embracing how differences make our world a better place. And what I love to talk to students about is, you know, imagine how boring our world would be, you know, how uneventful our world would be if we were all exactly the same, if we all had the exact same ideas, if we all looked the same, if we all operated the same. We learn so much through our differences. It opens up a world of opportunities when you take the time to accept and embrace them, and then understand like what kind of role you play in making the world more accessible for others. So I think acceptance is far more than tolerance. It's far more than just awareness about something. It's what your actions are, what you're physically doing, what you're emotionally doing or verbally doing to stand up for people that don't have advocates. And I think how people can do that is, you know, not only through their words, so using empowering and inclusive language. You know, different terms have been outdated, so being aware of what might be disrespectful to the autism or disability community, or what might be more empowering language. So language preferences, identity preferences, you know, that's something that we've all fortunately been able to consider a lot more, especially with the LGBTQ plus movement, to be able to consider what kind of preferences people might have, and being accepting and welcoming to that. You know, I always start Spectrum Sundays, my co-host and I always start by saying, would you prefer to be called autistic person or a person with autism? And, you know, whatever that opinion is, whatever that preference is, accepting that and being respectful of that language as you move forward through conversation is a great first step. Another way is to, you know, check yourself of any different biases that you might have, the ways that you might traditionally think about disability, and how you can move forward with understanding, you know, I have a place to make the world better or more accessible to those with disabilities. Acceptance can look like a kaleidoscope sometimes. There's so many different ways that you can practice it, but those are just a few. And of course, just being kind, you know, it costs nothing to be kind to somebody, whether you recognize that they have a difference or disability or not. Being kind to every person that you meet. And I also think that acceptance isn't treating someone differently. You know, treating every person like a human being is a great way to practice acceptance.
Right, right. Like don't treat people like they're less or anything.
Yeah, or don't treat them like they're disabled, you know? Don't treat them any different just because you know that they have a disability, is what I mean by that. So just treat every person the same. And, you know, if you act forward with kindness, then you can never go wrong with practicing acceptance.
Right, right, right. I'd like to say thank you so much for these great answers. It was a pleasure getting to talk to you, getting to know you better.
You
Um,
as well, Emma. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be able to share, you know, my story, but like I said, everybody else's stories, because we don't all go through life alone, and we all need a cheerleader sometimes. So I'm in the same boat. There's times that I need an advocate, but I need someone to make me feel empowered to use my own voice. So I'm just very grateful to be in an opportunity that I can at least do that for somebody else, and look to other people to do the same for me, hopefully in return, in different times that I experience challenges. So this has been such an amazing show to be of, experience to be a part of, and I'm so excited that it happened during Autism Acceptance Month as well.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Now, as you can see, acceptance is very important to Miss Pennsylvania 2021, Meghan Sinisi. Her platform is acceptance in the autistic community, and it's important to us too. The reason we made this show is to promote and amplify acceptance and diversity into the community. Now, I want to thank Miss Pennsylvania 2021, Meghan Sinisi, for coming out and speaking to us today, and I also want to thank my crew members for helping me along the way. Now, I will see you next time on Diverseability. Bye-bye!
Diverseability with your host Emma Billingsley. Still talk to people, hear jokes and songs, promote acceptance all day long. I know she can be a bit crazy, but she has diverseability. Da da da.